here's a little bit about me and why I'm here to talk about this. So I'm the co-founder of a company called Talla that is in the AI space, and we are one of the companies behind a new protocol called Botchain. It's blockchain for AI, which you'll hear about. I'm also a very active AI angel investor with over 50 angel investments. And if you're interested in artificial intelligence, I would encourage you to check out inside.com/AI. It's a newsletter that I write every Sunday, so if you go sign up today, you can check it out tomorrow. It's pretty interesting. So, we are in an AI explosion. These charts are a little bit old, as you can see, but these are projects that had AI in them at Google from 2012 through 2015. And then on the right, you can see performance by machine vision systems from 2011 to 2015. Now what this chart doesn't show is that machine vision research started in the late 1950s and early 1960s when an AI professor at MIT named Marvin Minsky gave a summer student the project of solve machine vision. So you can see there that by 2011, after almost 50 years of research, we were 75% accurate on machine vision. And then between 2011 and 2015, we dropped to human level performance. And the difference there was deep learning, neural networks, many of the things that you've heard about. So the reason AI is accelerating is because of this graph. When you deploy these systems, you get a flywheel-like effect. More users provides more data, which leads to better algorithms, better performance, which attracts more users. And so one way to think about this is using this question that you might have seen if you've ever taken an IQ test. If there's lily pads on a pond and you start with one, and every day they double and it takes 30 days to cover the entire pond, when is the pond half covered? Now some people say 15 days, but the answer is 29 days. And this is a problem that humans have dealing with accelerating returns, right? And so here's what it looks like if your job is to watch the pond. Where am I supposed to be pointing this specifically? Okay. So on day 20, you've been tasked to watch this pond. And on day 20, it looks like this. There's a few lily pads. It's been 20 days. They're multiplying, but you're really not very worried. But all of a sudden on day 29 and a half, it looks like this. It's almost covered. Now you have a half a day to figure this out. By the time you tell somebody, it's day 30. I can get this to advance. There we go. Day 30, it's entirely covered. So, this is from a blog post on artificial intelligence by a blog called Wait But Why. And what's really interesting is, we are sitting here where this little guy is, right? We've been following this trend, and if this lily pad AI analogy, which is true, which remember I showed some data earlier in the slide deck that it was, we're standing right there and this is about to shoot up, right? So that's a problem for a couple of reasons that we're going to talk about. Number one is that AI behaves badly sometimes. Iyad Rohan from MIT wrote an article in Nautilus magazine a couple of weeks ago where he pulled out this quote, which is, we're building these complex systems now in AI that have emergent properties. Even the people that build them can't always predict what they're going to do. And that's different. To this day, every piece of software you've ever used was written with a bunch of rules. So if you use it on January 1st and use it again a year later, January 1st, it does the same thing. Not so with AI systems. They learn and adapt. And sometimes, unfortunately, they behave badly. If I can get my slides to go through here. Am I not pointing this at the right thing? Am I pointing it over here? All right. Right here? Okay, that's a stage. All right. So this is a blog post from OpenAI, which you guys may have heard of, and they trained an AI to play this video game with this boat, and they got a very unusual outcome, which is this boat went off in this cove here, and you see those little dots? when you get those dots, those are points. So the boat went off in a cove, never finished the race, and they wrote a blog post about it because it circled in that cove and it crashed into stuff and it caught fire. If you go Google OpenAI reinforcement learning problem, you can read about this. But they wrote about this because they said this was not what we set out to design this AI to do. So it's pretty interesting. I'm just going to start pointing this all over the place. Let's see, there we go. Oh. And this is probably the most famous AI failure, Microsoft's Taybot. So Microsoft decided we're going to launch this bot on Twitter, and we're going to let it learn from talking to people. And what it learned on Twitter was to be racist and misogynistic, and they had to take it down. So that was a problem. And then this was a Slackbot hack. Part of what we'll talk about in a minute with BotChain is, people have always, they've spoofed web pages, they've spoofed emails, now they're spoofing bots to steal information. So AI is a problem. So we've established AI is moving rapidly. It is sometimes a problem. Well, here's the other thing. It's penetrating organizations at a rapid rate. These are all the enterprise AI companies that are out there at the moment. So as you can see, there are quite a few of them. Oops, go back one time. There we go. And so you can see the scale that this problem is quickly going to reach based on the AI market. There's a lot of money being spent on artificial intelligence. Now, we have a problem that AI is accelerating quickly. AI sometimes behaves badly, and it's growing in the enterprise. So what happens if you're deploying these AI processes and 3 or 4% of them at your office where you work turn out like Microsoft Tay, right? We have a problem. This is not a good thing. So we need a way to control this stuff. And that's where BotChain comes in. This is a project that we are part of. We pioneered this, but it's not our company. Our company is Talla. We make bots. We do knowledge management solutions. But BotChain was something that we needed because we saw this problem in the enterprise. So we partnered with a bunch of other companies. The way that maybe the way to think about it is how Motorola pioneered Bluetooth. So it's an industry standard that we're working on. And it consists of a couple of different parts. One is bot identity. So you have this problem that you don't know that a bot is a bot. If you go to a website, it has a secure digital certificate. Someone has validated that Starbucks owns Starbucks.com. If you get a text message from a Starbucks bot to buy a great deal on a gift card, enter your credit card, you don't actually know that that bot is owned by Starbucks. So problem number one that we solve is validation for AI. Number two, keeping track of what the AI does. So you can drop in a code snippet into your bot, if you're a developer, that will constantly hash everything that the bot does through the blockchain. That provides an immutable record that allows you to go back and figure out what went wrong, to audit your software. Like, remember when I said that this software is learning and changing, right? Well, what if you deploy it as part of a compliance process or workflow at your office? How do you know that it's still compliant? We've been talking to PwC and Ernst & Young and many of the big auditing companies. Some of them are closer than others, but we have no announcements yet, to join the BotChain initiative because they're interested in auditing your machine learning processes. This is going to become a big business for them. And then community governance, which you can read about. We have a really interesting governance model, but I won't go into it here with limited time. These are the initial partners that have started to get this off the ground. So Gupshup is the largest paid bot creation company. If you want to design a bot and you don't want to do very much, Gupshup will do that for you, and they have a nice platform. And then BotKit up here is the largest open source platform. They're actually our first two partners. The network launches on May 7th, which is just a couple of days. So we've been testing quite a bit. And then collectively, these companies already reach 50,000 developers and 400 million end users. So it's a pretty big network out of the gate. And our strategy was to sign a lot of the early partners. A lot of the, we went after sort of bot partners first, AI companies second. Now we're going after sort of audit and compliance partners. And so here's how you think about BotChain, because there's a whole bunch of AI blockchain solutions out there, right? You can think of this as a lower level protocol that sits below all of this and provides identity and archiving and compliance. So we're working with some of these other projects, again, no announcements yet, but hope to have some soon, that some of these projects will adopt the identity standard of botchain. So, in summary, blockchain can bring identity, trust, and compliance to AI in some ways that really lay the groundwork for an AI ecosystem. A lot of the ways that I think about this is, if cryptocurrency didn't exist, and you started thinking forward to a world where AIs grow and start interacting with each other, they interact with people more, they start trying to engage in a little bit of simple commerce and contract negotiations themselves as they get smarter. At some point you would say, wow, it's really hard for these things to own fiat currency. We need to come up with the money for the AI. And you would end up designing something very much like cryptocurrency. So I actually think AI and blockchain and cryptocurrency tie together very, very well. And they make a lot of sense when you think about how you might build an AI ecosystem someday. And so with that, here's how you can reach me. If you have questions, I think I've got like 2 minutes left. If anybody has a question or wants to ask anything? Be AI or blockchain related or both? Yeah?
Hi. So I'm Gary. Just a question. I'm CEO of FlowTrader, and what I'm curious about is right now it's a little scary, I would think, to hold, let's say, a lot of crypto because, you know, we're not decentralized. You know, someone can come to you and try to get encrypting. And banks kind of have a function in the old sense of banks where it's kind of safer in some sense. Maybe not from the government or from whoever, but from actual physical security. As AI develops, and well, this is a little bit far future singularity stuff, maybe upload our minds or whatever. If we were decentralized, or as AIs are decentralized and can't be attacked, and DDoS there's anti-DDoS software that can protect them, their consciousness or their, or whatever, forget consciousness, but their usage, they're more fit to use cryptocurrencies rather than a centralized entity like these flesh and bones. So what do you think about AI as it pertains to using cryptocurrencies in a more safe way than people ever could?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot in there. There's a really good book by an economist named Robin Hanson called The Age of M, E-M, and it stands for emulation, and it's about what does the world look like when we all have emulations of ourselves that go out and run. And again, if you believe this accelerating trend, and you've read some stuff about that, which there are people out there that don't. There are people out there that'll say AI is, decades away. But if you believe this accelerating trend, it's actually a lot closer than you think, right? We're talking about, maybe 8 or 10 years before you have these bots doing a lot of complex work and negotiation. They're talking to each other today. They're doing things, but yeah, I think I'm not sure the best way to answer your question in terms of what I think about it because there's a lot there. But I think bots in general will be spending cryptocurrency on behalf of their owners, and we believe that blockchain lays the groundwork. When you have identity and you have archiving and compliance, you're laying the groundwork for other things like bot reputation, which is not something that's built into the protocol today, but we hope an open source developer builds. The ability for bots to trade knowledge with each other. We had a core Solidity developer spec out something that we haven't announced yet, which is smart contract language just for AIs. So I think there's a lot of groundwork to be laid to really make that happen. But anyway, I think I'm out of time. But thank you, and we have a booth back here if you want to stop by and chat. And if you're interested in becoming a blockchain partner, we'd love to talk to you.